with.
Go ahead.
Hey, Ryan's here.
Hey, Ryan, and we'll go around the table.
Mike Champs, Parks Public Works Director.
All right, Paul Swan, Commission Chair.
Scott Vermeulen, Commissioner.
Dana Dean, City Clerk.
Ethan Benson, City Council.
Emily Anderson, Commissioner.
Heather Palmerini, Commissioner.
Nicole Beatty, Community Liaison.
All right, thank you, everyone, and we have a quorum. And agenda approval. Does anyone want to make a move to approve the agenda as is?
Motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
I think we have a second here.
Okay.
All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. So we have an agenda. On to public comments. Does anyone have any public comments? 1,000, 1,000.
Can you have public comments if you're on the commission? Oh,
Anyone can chime in.
If it wasn't an agenda bullet, you
If
could.
it's not an agenda item, you can chime in with whatever's on your mind.
okay. Do you guys mind?
Please.
I've just had a few comments from people that I ran into. Comments about, I'm not sure now, the people who are doing the assessment of, I'm not sure if it's Snoqualmie, all of Snoqualmie or Snoqualmie Ridge. What is the name of the?
Bell and survey.
Mm-mm. No, the company,
Emily,
the contractors that were hired.
Oh,
Yes.
the park
Mhm.
survey. It's
Right, is the survey, it's for the whole city?
Yes.
Okay, I'm curious as to where, I don't actually know where the city limit is, where the elk are on Meadowbrook. Is it Snoqualmie or half and half?
It's half and a half.
In some
It's
places
half and
it's half and half, but it kind of angles across when you get up there to 202. That's pretty good.
Stop to notice that, yeah.
Okay, so like behind near the golf course,
So yeah,
Is that
that one,
Snoqualmie?
there's a sign like between where you see all the elk and before you get to, what do you call it?
The visitor center.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
where they have the weddings and stuff.
so at least two,
The property line, this line between the two cities is in like essentially the middle of Meadowbrook
okay.
Park.
So two people have mentioned to me about signage in the area with the elk about dogs being off leash. So I wanted to
Do
bring.
you want us
that.
to get rid of that signage?
No, they want, is there a sign that says dogs have to be on leash?
think
I
it's just
don't
an
know.
ordinance, right? Aren't you-
I know it's an ordinance, but
Yeah.
for people who come and visit and don't go on the city website and read the ordinance.
Right.
It just is the same,
It does attract a lot of people from outside the area, so
it does, and
that would be Meadowbrook that would do the signage, but we could.
We can
communicate
pass it on to the representative of the committee.
okay, yeah.
And for those of us that don't know, Meadowbrook is the property owner of that site.
It's the name of the property.
So with the city and the city of Snoqualmie, the city of North Bend and Sideview Park District is the manager. It's a group of those entities that oversee that park.
Okay,
And we're actually right in the midst of finalizing the agreement with all of those entities.
And that's the whole thing from Centennial Fields all the way down to the event center.
I believe so.
Ah,
And when we get a lot of snow, it's really easy to see the city limit.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know if it was something that, a comment that should be addressed to North Bend and not to Snoqualmie. That's the only reason why I asked. Yeah,
no, good, but essentially with that agreement you're talking about, it's sort of its own overlay zone, if you will.
Yeah, so we can
Okay.
pass that on to Meadowbrook and Sideview
So-
that operate the park. Yeah.
He's pulling up the graphic here.
So this is Meadowbrook. This is city limits. This is the part of Meadowbrook that's not in the city limits. So it's not quite half now,
okay.
but yeah.
I just think for safety reasons, a few people have suggested that there should be a sign somewhere, points of where people come and look at the elk, that dogs must be leashed.
I think the part that you're talking about, where it would be a bigger problem, would be in the Snoqualmie portion of
I've seen it happen both near the golf course on that part and on the other side where they kind of redid the area where you can pull in.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've seen like both,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I run that
Fair
area
statement.
often and it's actually all throughout that there are dogs off leash.
Because there's those animals are protected, so there's a potential liability issue with dogs going
yeah,
amok on the protected animals. I don't know.
yeah, lots, I
It's
mean,
just-
Probably not a
it's
best practice.
just
Right.
unsafe.
Well, in the dog
Unsafe.
park. It's like
That
right across the
makes it
street.
A little better.
Yes,
Yeah.
which hopefully people are just
Yeah,
keeping
yeah.
them there, but.
Yeah,
people see
again,
them
I
at,
just didn't know if it was a waste of time to bring it up, if it's like all North Bend.
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
we can get it
Okay.
to the-
Good place.
And just another question I have, I've seen the police department lately, Snoqualmie PD, putting on Facebook the laws about scooters
Mhm.
and bikes and such. How does that apply to the trails?
They're
Because
not allowed at
the
all.
way they phrased it, they were using the word pathways, multi-use pathways, and okay, so nothing motorized is allowed on trails. Okay, no, I know
But
that
bicycles are allowed.
pedal,
Pedaled.
right,
Not-
okay.
not
Non-motorized
electric bikes.
bicycles.
No, right, okay, and again, as a citizen, not necessarily being on this commission, I think it's really important when this company assesses the area that they consider putting signage in about not allowing motorized things. Like I was nearly run down with my two dogs with a teenager on a motorized bike 2 weeks ago. And that was pretty much the scariest thing I've ever like dealt with on the trails. And yeah, I wasn't wearing any earbuds or anything. The kid was probably 12. And thankfully it was a wide part and I got my two huskies and just rammed them over, into the woods. And so, yeah, I just wanted to.
Used to be harder for kids to get a hold of a motor. A lot easier now.
It is, I mean, well, actually, they don't even use them. They have electric scooters, but I mean, as a 12, 13-year-old, I can understand why a trail like that would be appealing. For
Right.
that, but I was just kind of curious about the liability and what if the kiddo did crash into the dogs
He gets more points.
and we got seriously injured, like,
So
What-
the Facebook part you're seeing now is the initial part of a multi-pronged enforcement action that will end in citations.
okay, yeah, I just the way they phrased it, it didn't comment on trails.
Okay.
It said I believe, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure it said multi-use paths, which,
Is wording out of the code.
okay,
That's where that wording came from.
okay.
One of the things that used to happen in this town every year was a huge bike rodeo, which I think we desperately need to bring back in some form, whether it's at the elementary school level or
I remember-
middle schools. But, that's where I still remember bike rodeos when I was a kid, where we were taught the rules of how to use a bicycle properly. And it's only gotten ramped up with putting an engine on everything. What you're pointing out, real danger to you. I've heard a lot of people make the same complaint down the park, up and down the parkway and, just. Honestly, the cyclists in this town that just pedal along going, hey, treat me like a car, but I do wanna be a pedestrian whenever I feel like it, is annoying to me as well. I think all of the adults in this city should have to go to the bike rodeo too, because you see a grown cyclist riding along, following the rules of the road, and then all of a sudden not. And it's terrifying because as a driver or somebody around who's trying to anticipate somebody's behavior based on some form of code, it's impossible to do.
To provide some history to what Councilmember Benson talked about, it was the Bob Jeans Bike Rodeo.
Tanner,
Sorry, thank you. Tanner Jeans, which Bob Jeans is one of our former council members. I think you actually took his seat. He left and you're now in
I
his
think
seat
that's why I
on
feel so
council.
old now.
Yeah, his grandson was killed in a car biking accident, and so his family supported this bike rodeo for many, many years. And then the family just needed to step away from it. And the last time that I think it was done was either 2018 or 2019, which the police department used to do it, I believe, in working partnership with the Jeans family. And they did that event, but I think probably with COVID and some of the staffing challenges, it's been difficult to have those type of an event. But I think what I can do is May is bike to work and bike to school month. I know that's May and it's a ways from now, but I can work with communications team. And maybe there's some things that we can do with some messaging very strong that month, but do some things now and along with the ordinance. But that's just a little history on that. Or if anybody in here is very much into biking and want a cause.
I think May's a brilliant month to have it because it's right before all those kids are on summer break and
Yeah.
menacing the
So let's,
trails and sidewalks.
all right, any other public comments?
One other I promised I would bring up that I was asked to
Okay.
bring up is,
Sure.
I've not physically been to the new train park down by the river. But I know somebody feels that the fencing is too short because potential of the kids climbing over it.
Say that again, the fencing downtown on the.
I've
At
not-
Riverview, at
The
Riverview Park.
fencing that we added at the same height of the original fencing.
Okay, I've never been there.
Oh,
Not the
on
perimeter
riverbank.
fencing.
The one that's against, I guess, the river.
Oh, the perimeter.
Yeah, I think the perimeter, I was just
But
there yesterday.
Oh,
Wouldn't
if it's a
have-
new user.
Interesting. I was
Yeah,
there
maybe,
for the-
It was the
I-
fencing that was compromised structurally for some time in the middle of the project.
Do you mean short in
that
height
seemed
or
to have been
short in
fixed.
length?
in
Is that what
height,
you mean?
in height, oh, concern of climbing over it.
Cause it was not long enough, and so they extended it.
There were holes underneath it.
Yeah,
I still think
You and I-
50 yards of blackberries between that and the river are gonna do a better job than that fence ever do.
Well, I promised I'd bring
yeah, no,
bring it up at the meeting.
All right,
Thank you, Heather.
Mhm.
thanks. Anyone else?
I'll check that out. I'm gonna do it.
All right, going once, going
Take a look.
twice. We'll shut down the public comments and move on to the council liaison report.
Nothing to report that I can think of. I love the discussion about getting a bike rodeo, and I think this commission would be a great resource for that, because something, but nothing official report from the council right now.
Okay. Moving on to minutes, approval of the minutes dated August 21st, 2023. Does anyone have a move to approve the minutes from that date?
Sure. I'll move to approve the minutes.
All right, Emily moves to approve. Do we have a second? Oh, Ryan. Ryan with the second.
That's awesome.
All right, those in favor of the minutes from August 21st, 2023 being approved, say aye.
Okay.
Aye. Okay, that's passes 5-0. Yeah. All right, on to regular business. Summary of commission accomplishments for 2023. Presentation at November 13th, 2023 City Council meeting. I'll just chime in and then would you like to chime in after I chime in? So one of the handouts that was for you and you also Scott put one together as well.
No, we can skip.
Just in short, what I tried to put together where you see the list of accomplishments, the summary and the mission statement on page 1 of that handout. I was just basically falling back on some of my old city hall experience and trying to put together a somewhat succinct report on what the group had done in the last year. I was working off of the minutes since January and invite throughout this discussion anyone to call out anything that doesn't seem accurate or may have been missed through the review that I did through the minutes. What I was trying to do initially here was kind of group together the sort of decisions that the commission was making. In the first section, covered policy meetings and member related matters, including the bylaws. I think at one point we reviewed the mission statement, but we didn't make changes to it, and we just used that as a guiding light for the bylaws and that exercise. And some of the other matters, some more parks and trails related, I try to group those together. Reviewing staff advisement, and then I wanted to call out our events coordinator had done as well, and how that related to the group here. This is really just a draft to that I forwarded to you, and then you are working with the mayor on taking the content and doing a more glorified presentation instrument with it.
Right, so it's my understanding that it'll be for all the commissions, so Arts Commission, Parks and Events, ED, Economic Development Commission, as well as Planning Commission, are all need to kind of sit down and kind of do an overview of their accomplishments for the year. And what that would be like what you've done specifically for providing input, suggestions, or speaking, like Emily came to the council meeting and actually spoke regarding one of our projects, and or making recommendations to council, which events you guys have specifically attended, not just listing all the events that Nicole has, put on, but which ones we've attended, and we can, or where we provided input on the events. And then also there's a slide for goals. So each, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And I kind of just put this together. It's super draft.
There it is.
So it will just be really that where each of the it would probably be the chair who would speak on behalf of their commission, but everyone's invited to come and provide input if they wanted to. And the date has not been determined yet. We're still figuring that out. But we start probably with the Arts Commission because it just kind of goes alphabetically. And so that they would go ahead and do their slides, and then ED Commission would do theirs. And then for Parks and Events, I took what Paul had put together, kind of got the highlights. So first it would be appropriate to say what our mission is. So you'd be doing this in front of council, so it's sometimes helpful to remind them what the mission of the commission what it is. And then I put together just some of the things like that I had gotten from Paul's information, things that you've actually done, adopted the bylaws, how many meetings you've held, which items you've actually reviewed and provided input on. You attended the volunteer appreciation event, attended the city council meeting, and then it would just go from there. So we might need another slide for this, but that was just kind of where I got on that. And then it was also talked about maybe we could do a slide for goals. So what are your goals for next year? Specific goals, not just we'll continue to discuss and review projects. That's kind of a little not as specific as I think what she's looking for. So I don't know.
Because the goals aspect is that's sort of a mastermind session to sort of in congruence with the statutes to kind of figure out what the budgets look like and what
Your major goal each year is going to be helping us complete the parks plan. I mean, that's the major work product we have to share.
Spreading the word about the surveys or participating in the surveys or
Correct.
whatever, specific items where the commissioners are going to be helping.
Reviewing what's produced, arguing about whether it should be 3 acres per family or 4 acres per family or whatever, as we go through that whole thing. So, I mean, that's a huge goal for next year.
Right. And so do you see this? How many slides would we have
Well, 2 to 3, I think, per,
per group?
yeah,
Okay.
it might end up being a little more, just depending on, how we squeeze it or how we make it look, but we do want a little bit of consistency and not to be too lengthy.
Sure.
We can't make ours like 12 slides long, just to make it look like we're really productive.
We're the coolest commission
But
ever.
we need pictures. I think you hit on something though. You said highlights in the beginning. And I think one of the challenges with PowerPoint is don't put so much into it. Let's just pare it down to what are the highlights that we've contributed to or that we've accomplished. And I think leave it at that.
And remember, Paul will have to speak to it.
Yeah, and that's what I
Give him
mean.
some talking points.
Yeah,
Keywords.
but just a few. Yes, we held 9 meetings, but is that a highlight? My thought, probably not.
It's more like we're reporting what we did, rather than we had 9 straight
But is it-
forums.
But is it an accomplishment?
Some
to-
commissions didn't.
But
make
the
it
issue-
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying.
yeah.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, I think making quorum every month is, better than some, right?
I'm sorry, Ryan would like to speak. I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead. Do we have him?
No, yeah, you guys are breaking up.
It depends on which.
I was-
meeting.
I was saying making quorum every month is actually a accomplishment, right?
That was why I put that there.
That's an expectation.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but, and that's why I also put in I don't think you have a handout to look at, Ryan, but I put a summary together that basically I wanted to add some context because I was running scared during COVID about making this group, maintaining its relevancy and existing. That was the level we were at. And so, yeah, we kind of are a phoenix rising out of the ashes in some ways. And this has been a great last year, 18 months of more consistent meetings.
And that's a story you need to tell.
Right. So,
I know.
yeah, and that's where I'll work off of the summary that I put together here, basically. But all this content is just helicoptering into what you're putting together here. And so what we're left with mainly is identifying goals.
Yeah, and also I don't know if everyone attended all these events. Because that would be more appropriate, like which events do you guys helped with or attended?
Like the mayor and, or like what's being asked in this report is who showed up to what, like I didn't keep track of
You
who
want to
showed
know
up to
the
what.
commission's accomplishments, not necessarily Nicole's accomplishments.
Yeah, where we had input, right, or what we
Okay.
attended,
Yeah, accomplished, yeah.
which is for those events.
Okay, which I don't have. I don't know who attended what. I
Yeah,
wasn't,
and I think this is the first discussion, so there's still
Okay.
plenty of time and if you guys want to send me stuff, I can add to it and then send out a draft to everyone and you kind of think about it,
okay, is there anything that anyone wants to discuss right now in looking at any of this content that they think something has been overlooked or completely left out, or is it too much information, or I know a lot of you are looking at this for the first time, but I want to look at what you put together.
It's just a summary of what we talked about. This is a summary of that summary.
outline.
Yeah.
An abstract on the summary. Yeah, there you go.
I tend to think it's too much. I
Okay,
really think we stick with just a highlight reel. Yeah, if you had 5 things to say we did, what did we do?
I mean, I can see leaving out the number of meetings we had. And then that's something I could elaborate on in front of the council in a few short sentences.
Yeah, and to me, the bylaws is a good accomplishment, but it doesn't necessarily fit within the mission that we started with. It doesn't seem to be a highlight to me.
I would say that one of your major accomplishments last year was Riverview Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had a real impact on
A lot of
a
people,
lot of people. Okay,
and you guys made the call on that design.
right.
Yeah.
Is there anything,
I think that little park, that little outdated park went from, you know, an old decrepit park to probably the most visited, yeah, it's probably the most visited park now in the city. I'm just guessing,
Right.
maybe Fisher Creek has it beat, but or one of the big parks, but-
I would say every time I've been by Riverview Park and
Riverview Park
visited,
is-
the 2 or 3 times I've been there,
Yeah.
it's been, you know,
Yeah.
overrun.
Yeah,
in a good way.
per capita, I think that's the most used part.
What I had under parks and trails related was I had Riverview Park, which opened in June.
You also
Correct.
can't understate the inclusion aspect of that park. Not only did you replace a dying park with something vibrant and new, but the inclusion element is huge.
Riverview Park featuring all-inclusive elements
Yeah.
opened June 2023. Now the rest,
I would recommend featuring the city's first
Yeah.
inclusive playground elements.
featuring cities first all-inclusive playground elements. Open June 23. Now, under the rest of that subheading, I had all ongoing projects. Are there any other projects that were given birth to since January, or is all the rest of it all ongoing? I
Well, in a
guess?
few minutes, I'm gonna report that the splash pad project's approved and moving forward. The line experience was approved and it's moving forward.
Approved,
So those 2 are approved.
approved. Okay,
The line experience construction is going on like today. And the splash pad construction will begin in March.
okay.
And the other thing that was big is Phil and crew have been repairing. And been effectively rebuilding the trail bridges in our system.
Trail
So,
bridges,
there's a lot of work that's gone into that, and there's a lot more that has to go into that. But that's huge also.
okay. And that's a citywide, essentially.
Correct. And the role that you folks have been playing is focusing me on trails. Every meeting we said here, you guys bring up the trails. So your advocacy for trails has elevated them in the public works directors. Priority list to the point where stuff's happening.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes, good to hear.
No, you're not out there fixing the bridges, but you're counting on me so I can put bridges fixed.
We're
Good, we'll keep that. in.
lightly,
And taking care of graffiti at the bog.
Did you know about that? I honestly, I avoid that area because I don't want to be the weirdo with my 2 dogs catching teenagers doing
Fixing
inappropriate
graffiti.
things. But I walked over there the other day, and I just took a triple take, like, I have a feeling the city doesn't know about this. So, okay, I didn't know if I was being annoying if you knew about
Well,
it,
anytime
but
you see anything like that,
Okay.
snap a picture, send it to us.
That
and
was
we'll take
very
care of it.
inappropriate,
so as we,
Male genitalia drawn
Ours.
everywhere.
like, just everywhere.
yeah, that was
At the bog behind the YMCA.
unfortunate to say the least. So I'm just sort of taking notes as we go. Do you want me to give you an updated version of what I sent before?
I will
To-
send you the PowerPoint slide and you can update,
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
and then you.
I
can-
don't think I don't have PowerPoint. I just have Google Doc related stuff. I don't have PowerPoint at home.
Okay. Can I send you a PDF of it?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
And then I can just write spaghetti all over it. Is that right? Literally, can I throw spaghetti at my computer?
Well, you can, but that'll be messy.
Okay, all right.
I won't get those changes.
Figuratively, spaghetti. So fixing graffiti. Right,
It's every day,
okay,
every single day. So, I mean, that really wasn't a big deal. It happens to us every day. That's what we do. Trained professionals.
How do you clean it?
Depends on the surface. So it's,
Did you clean it already?
it's been addressed. I don't know what they particularly did.
Oh,
They might have had to sand it.
that's what I was
They
wondering.
might
Yeah.
have painted over it. If it's a hard surface and we can clean it off, we have some pretty nasty chemicals. I'll take pretty much anything off.
Would it be worthwhile putting a camera over there? No, no.
does anything come to mind? Scott, as far as are we overlooking anything? As far as accomplishments?
No, but I anticipate there will be a time limit given to all commissions.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
imagine that
Yeah.
you can't go too terribly.
Right.
Ryan, does anything come to mind on your end? That accomplishment wise?
I think that sums it up well. I was trying to think of it earlier today, and I think you hit it.
Emily, anything?
It seems like actually a really good highlight reel,
Okay,
good list.
staff review and staff advisements. City rental fees updates. Online reservation system. I mentioned council liaison updates, but that happens with every group.
I mean, not as well.
Right, I mean,
That
we
exactly.
did it the elite.
You shine so much that my reptilian brain made me put it in the report. So, where are we at with the rental fees updates? I just have ongoing.
Yeah, where are we at? That's a question for the finance department.
Okay, so ongoing. Online reservation system, I'm assuming that's ongoing.
That is coming. It's involved with the finance system computer rollout,
Gotcha.
which we just went live with yesterday, which is progress, but we're not there yet.
And when I put down the events coordinator, I was just trying to give you some credit and I mean, you do report this to us. We do have a reaction to what you report. We do advise you.
Yeah.
So I would argue it falls under the preview of what we do, but I'll leave it to your judgment on how
Well,
succinct or how much we flesh these things out.
these are your accomplishments, so you guys should decide how you want it worded, whether it's you provide input and advise on events or feedback or however you want to word it.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
Since you're gonna be presenting this to the city council, some of the city council people are really smart. Kara's really smart, Jim, right? Then the rest of them are kind of like me. So you gotta keep it tight. And my suggestion is very much along the lines of what he's saying. If you point out, hey, we did a lot of stuff. We can give you a laundry list if you like, but the big thing we did this year was our participation on Riverview Park. That's what we see as the thing that made the biggest impact on the city, on the citizens' experience with parks. Bar none, that's the biggest thing that the commission worked on. And I will tell you, just from my perspective, I was against that park. The one that you chose, I was absolutely opposed to it. I thought that's not the right design. They should have gone with one of the other ones. I couldn't have been wronger. You guys picked the exact right park, the one that had to be there. And if it had been left to me, it would have been a different design entirely. And it would have been a mess. It would have been a mess because the park that's there is the exact park that needs to be there. So that's a big accomplishment. And it wasn't a decision that you guys came to without a lot of work, and it had a huge impact on the people. If you focus on that, and then say, you want to hear about a dozen other things that we did, we can tell you, but this was the big thing. Next year, the thing that we think is the most important, the one that we're going to be working toward is this, whatever that is. I think that's a great report,
Right,
personally. I think that's a fantastic report right there. And it's
less is more.
because
Yeah.
it's bite size. The council's going to be able to hear you and hold on to something that you say. If you talk about all of the things that you did, which it is a big deal that you had a quorum every month. It is a big deal that you came back, that all those things are a very big deal. The way the council is going to be able to hold on to that.
Right, during the headlights.
Yeah.
The way I see it is the graphic and the listings that are assembled and put together that turn into the slides are the bricks, and I'm just gonna throw some mortar at the bricks.
Yeah.
And the nugget like you suggested.
Yeah.
And sort of a less is more sort
Yeah,
of.
and I think if you, it's better for you to hit hard the big important things.
Right.
Thing. Than to try and scattergun all those other things. You know,
Sure.
go sniper.
Because the information is already there for them.
Yeah.
In whatever form it takes, and I can offer to follow up with more information if they wish.
Yes, and everybody on the council is gonna agree with you. If you say the biggest thing that was Riverview Park, because that thing was just an absolute slam dunk.
So probably what we'll do is provide the presentation as part of the packet. And that way council will have it and can reference it. So, and typically with a PowerPoint, you don't want to read off of it anyway. So
Right.
you can still list it, but then come back with that big thing, talk about the big thing.
Sure.
That's just a suggestion.
And you also have to consider the fact that other than your report, we're gonna have to listen to all the.
I was
boring
just gonna
commissions.
say, this is gonna be a long
So,
night with several
yeah.
reports, isn't it?
Yeah, so you'll stand out.
Then we start talking.
And I don't think wronger is a word.
I like.
Oh,
it.
we're going. Gotcha.
Well, it's a normal council meeting night, so there's gonna be all that normal council
Yeah.
business
Yeah,
where we bore them to tears.
yeah, so your presentation will stand out more if it's two things. Then.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna be busy leading
No.
the signs out front.
I love that. The other thing I think we might add, a lot of the stuff that we do is very visual. So let's put a visual of the River Park.
Yeah, can we
right on
take a
the screen.
picture of it on a,
As you're talking
Sunday
about
morning?
it, let them see it.
Do you want me to go take? a
Nicole, I
picture?
bet has
And then-
1,000 fantastic pictures of
She
kids
does.
in it.
Maybe not 1,000, maybe 990.
Okay, so you won't have as many to choose from.
Let's just say that all 4 commissions are all very unique and have their own flavor, their own vibe, and their own workflow, and everyone is gonna have a different thing. I can tell you EDC, their main focus this year has been the economic development plan, the comp plan, which is what the park plan would be for the work that you guys are doing next year. So they've got one huge chunk of work that they've been doing. Arts Commission, yeah, they've got a lot of stuff going on. So their report will be a little meatier, but I think that I look at you guys as, not that you're in this room doing a lot, or not that you're out at events doing events, but you're almost you are the ambassadors in our community, and just coming here every month and telling us what's going on, or having dialogue with Mike so he knows what's going on, because we can't get to every part. There's so much value in that. So that is something that you can't check that off and say, it's been this and this, but I think. So don't sell yourself short on your role on this commission, because there's value to just showing up every month and supporting the work.
And we're out there in the community, being eyes and ears
Yeah,
for our neighbors.
absolutely. Heather with her reports, it's like really valuable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Ryan doing something, or was I doing?
he might
something?
have had a small child behind
Yeah.
him making
Oh,
faces.
isn't it? Oh, a mini commissioner.
Thank you for all of the advice, and we'll tighten this up. Does anyone else have any thoughts on this subject? Okay. All right, so November 13th, do we have our meeting? We don't have another meeting before that, do we? So this is going into the
Not in
ether.
October?
We don't know what in
Not in
October.
October meeting?
October meeting.
Well, I'm sorry, we have an October meeting,
Yeah, let's see, we have October 16th, November 20th.
so we can revisit this next month. Obviously, we will.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gives time to
And by then,
think about it.
there'll be more of a slide aspect that you and I have coordinated on.
Yeah, and you guys can send your suggestions to Paul directly, and then he can make changes to it, and we can update it for the next meeting.
Please do. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your input and your hard work in that. Moving on to regular business, item number 3, project updates.
I'm gonna do it for you. You've been talking a lot today. It's all
We
good.
did it.
Well, a little bit. I have a little bit more fun context, if I do say so. So the splash pad was approved by council, and this 2 Saturdays ago was also the International Block Party, which was a partnership event between the chamber, the city supported, and a lot of groups. It had an international welcoming week theme, which was wonderful, but we had an outreach booth. Mike was there. I was in and out because I was doing things with the event. We had a representative for the Y talking about the pool and the splash pad. And there had been some chatter that perhaps the splash pad was just for kids 10 and under. But I'm here to tell you that I was asking every kid, how old are you? How old are you? How old are you? Because they were looking at it. Kids of all ages, even teenagers, were super, super, I cannot understate the excitement about the splash pad. Even the teenagers, and I said to the teenage girls, I'm like, okay, I totally want you there and you're totally welcome, but please don't like make it be a teen place and not like a toddler place, right? But across the board, all ages, so much positivity towards the splash pad. So I think, and parents too, I just think it's gonna be a great thing. The businesses up there are really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna activate that area. I think parents will be getting food at the restaurants or maybe snacks at the Dollar Tree, you know, just different things. So that's coming. One of the things that I've asked Mike, to do, and actually this is my audience here, right? Or maybe not my audience, but y'all know how I feel about squash or Sasquatch or whatever it is. But I was down in Olympia and saw a splash pad down there in the middle of summer, and attached to it was like a shelter cabana area for like parties. So I came back and I said to Mike, we have to have a shelter or some sort of a cabana or something next to or very close adjacent so that we could have the birthday parties, and that would be a revenue stream. So we might be able to get some cost recovery. Sasquatch comes in because maybe we do some cost engineering, is that the word? And maybe Sasquatch comes out and a shelter comes in, but that was another thing that we talked to different people at the booth. Would you, you know, have birthday parties and such there? So I think that would be.
Or we may recycle a shelter from parts of the Y.
This is a true statement.
Oh, there we go.
So the why, that we're in the outreach phase and some different engineering phases, Mike can speak to that. The positivity for the why, just being transparent and reporting back was really good. People would come up and look at both and they were very happy. I think that people feel if for whatever reason the pool doesn't come, we have an amazing water feature in the splash pad. So the community is gonna win in that way. Anything else you wanna say on that, Mike?
No, we're working through with the consultants on the community center expansion. I think we're on design option 7, design option 7. So now we're starting to mass it at the site. Are we getting it zeroed in? The last design we saw last week was 26 million. Amazing. I mean, really amazing, but we got to get it down. So Thursday's meeting is very important because we're going to start to chunk it out and start pricing those chunks to see how we can schedule things to bring that price down to where we can maybe phase portions of it to build it, etc.
Is there still a lap pool in the design?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
How did the meeting with the school district go?
We presented the information to them.
Okay. No reaction yet?
You have not heard anything from them as far as I know.
Okay.
Few more tidbits that just popped into my mind. So with the design that it is now, it would leave what we call the amphitheater down at the bottom of center. That will still be a grassy area. I've already talked with Phil about putting some trees up across the top of the berm. This summer, there's no trees, no shade for the events. You know, if I could wave my magic wand and have like all the money in the world, which I know is impossible, but to put some sort of a permanent stage at the middle of the amphitheater, the chamber's very interested in that. So I think that maybe looking for some grants or something that we could do, that too could be, you know, some revenue stream to be able to rent that, and we would be able to recoup some of the costs for the different groups, not having to have a stage. There was some questions as to why the splash pad moved from there to where its location is, and I think you guys have been briefed all along, so we understand it's because of the plumbing and the building. We also did hear, I think it was, maybe it was good. I think maybe I'm wrong, correct me wrong, maybe Mike didn't realize just how many people in the community love the basketball court. We heard it a lot. I love the splash pad, but what about the basketball court? So that was really good feedback that we are gonna take and figure out how do we solve that conundrum. And then lastly, we've said Memorial Day to Labor Day, but if we get a heat wave May 15th, it's not that we can't turn it on. Or if we have really hot weather in September, we can turn it on. So we're not limited, we don't have to be limited to those 2 holiday weekends as anchors. We have the ability to do additional days depending on the weather.
Do you have a graphic for us to look at to the effect of what you were just saying
For the splash pad,
for the community center?
the one I just showed.
Yeah, well, she was talking,
It
so
was like, oh, it's right here.
I just
Oh, yeah, I thought maybe
was
it was-
looking for some context. You said option 6 or option 7.
Yeah, we're progressing through the different plans, you know, that was option 4, this was option 5. And we're getting them closer and closer into what is ideal. And we're at option 6, this adds a bunch of parking. About 30 stalls, you know, it fits on the site very nicely. Continues the school drop off. We're adding this little bypass here to make it a little easier to get the cars around for school drop off.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You'd been mentioning the basketball court would be relocated to the other side of the pool. Is there space for it?
It
Or
won't
is-
be going there.
Oh, so do you have ideas as to where it will go?
I have an idea, yes.
You're not willing to share it?
I want to go through the process.
Okay, okay, but it will be
I don't want to put my
relocated.
thumb on scale.
Okay, but will it be relocated?
What I want Kimberly Horn to do is a complete study of our entire system, identify all the existing basketball courts, determine where the proper place is to put it. And that's where I will put it. But yeah,
Okay,
community park's getting kind of full. So it may not be necessarily right there and maybe within walking distance of the park.
when the community comes to you with their concerns about the basketball court relocation, is it a viable option to point them to the hoop features that are under the roof of the school?
We
next
did
door?
do that,
Okay,
because there is options right there that we have access to.
right.
That is a pretty pathetic.
It is pathetic.
I know,
Yeah.
that's not, that's,
Yeah.
And
But
it
it
may,
is an option.
it may
It's
be
a
that
poor
Kimberly
option.
Horn,
it's a big downgrade.
How about it's an interim option until we can get, till we can figure out.
in all
what's a good
seriousness, it may be that Kimberly Horn says community park's the right place for it. And then maybe we need to enter into agreement with the school district lets us put it over there. I don't know, I want them to tell us where we need that feature.
Maybe it goes in the
Gotcha.
amphitheater.
So-
You're talking about the amphitheater?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the amphitheater,
Yeah.
so this is the berm
Yeah.
right now, and so hopefully some trees there. I usually put the stage right there in the center.
One of the initial designs had this becoming service area. Yeah, so
It's
I'm
such
really-
a, it's such a focal point down center to that.
It's a visual.
Yeah, and I
that's.
always thought of the amphitheater as a switching the orientation so that the seating
I
is
just,
up on the hill and
I agree with
stage
you.
is in the back.
I agree.
These
with you.
images have the street being white.
Well,
It's
the
great.
focus is on the building. I have a stupid question, and it's not in the form of a complaint. I'm just curious, why the angle for the pool in the design?
Maximize
That's what
the site.
fits best with the parking lot and everything else.
Okay,
And also it's cheapest to build because we're not having to cut, fill slope, et
gotcha.
cetera.
Because in my mind's eye, for a split second, I thought if you angled that back. It took the curve and angled it back towards the rest of the facility, you could fit the basketball court next to it, but with a slope, that answers that. So, and that's a cost issue.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So
I actually like the angled design, aesthetically.
this is existing parking right now, and you can see it goes right up to the edge.
Sure.
Those are the parking spaces right next to the tennis court, right?
Correct.
And that carve out that goes to the front of the existing Y is through court one, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So that looks like a new entrance then, a new main entrance.
Correct.
Decommission the old one.
Which would allow us to take the existing structures front and back and put them together as a picnic shelter,
Oh, there you go.
Right,
because they're
Yeah.
mere halves.
using our resources.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
to keep this.
And then there's that. So,
There's a lot more work to do on that, but we're
No,
getting there.
it looks like it's taking shape and discussions are happening.
Correct.
So, thank you. Any other thoughts? Or you still,
nope, I just have one more bullet if you want to move on from the pool and the splash pad unless anybody has any questions. Cool.
all right?
Starting around October Centennial, that playground structure will be dismantled and then we'll start work on the other playground structure, the inclusion playground structure. So it will probably be closed for a couple of months, to get it all right and landscaping and all that good stuff. So
I'll be making a presentation to Rotary on Thursday morning. They've approached us about wanting to make an investment into parks. And part of that design. Everybody closes their eyes for a second, I can show you something. It's in my emails and I can't let everybody see my emails because there's tons of stuff in my emails.
We're taking a nap.
Because that one takes forever.
I think of this.
I'm always not screen sharing, right?
No, I'm not. A lot of employees with D names.
there is. We have Adina, Deanna.
need to hire a Danica.
Yeah. We have Gianna.
Okay, good luck now.
PowerPoint.
Boom. Share screen. Go there. Share. So anyway, part of our initial design was for a entrance structure, a grand entrance structure for the park that would go over the walkway between the two playgrounds. And we designed this, which is metal cutout, and it shows Mount Si and has the name of it and stuff. But we had to cut it for cost. But the Rotary's really interested in paying for it. So that's a presentation I'm doing Thursday morning. See if they'll kick in the 30 grand to pay for it.
Cool. So, thank you. Any other project updates?
Paving is close to being done. So,
Okay,
yeah,
you just have to stripe it, basically.
No, there's a lot more work to do, but the main Traffic nightmares are over.
What are people gonna talk about?
Yeah.
They'll find some.
You know what? I'll tell you exactly what
It's
they're gonna talk about.
refreshing, Scott, can I just tell you?
I'll tell you exactly what it is. Everybody's speeding on the parkway.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is bad.
It's bad in the neighborhood collector streets.
So as soon as
Every-
you pave it, speeds go up 10 miles an hour.
Really? Oh.
So.
Well, we're actually
we're-
trading that for Highway 18. That is, if you use that at all, that is turning into
Yeah.
not our road, but we have the impacts of
We
it.
actually find out from the state whether they're taking the parkway this week. We are recessing reflectors on the parkway, like 202. So the plows don't pop them all off. So that's still to come. We have the paint. It's got to cure for about 30 days and we put the permanent markings in. They're out working on utility lids and trail access points and stuff right now. So there's a considerable amount of work to do. We're probably only about 60% through the contract, but the traffic nightmares are over.
I have a question. If the state takes over that road, do they just take over like the driving part? Or do they take over where the nice greenery is too?
No, the
Do they-
greenery stays with us.
Oh.
They take over the paving and the striping
That makes me
and
happy.
the reflectors. The snow plowing stays with us.
Oh,
The traffic lights stay with the county. So they just.
traffic lights. I have a question about that.
Uh-huh.
Have they been readjusted at all? Like
Oh, yeah,
Fairway and the Parkway? I feel like
they're not the same.
That's,
Yeah.
that's part of the
stuck
work
there
that
for a
still has
while.
to
Okay,
happen. The
Okay.
loops are in the ground. They haven't
okay,
had the traffic people come in and
okay,
connect them.
okay,
So,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, that
The switchers haven't switched a switch.
makes sense.
They're on programs, so they.
Once you're on city council, you get a button, so that's really.
I thought there was a guy
We do
standing
make
there
sure the city
pressing
council has
buttons.
their button.
He sits at his desk at night or his
Wish I had
recliner.
that button.
Yeah, if you're really waiting a long time, it's because I'm just fiddling with it at home.
Is it? I started to question.
I thought you were
like,
hiding
should I
behind the
just go through
utility
light?
box.
What's going on?
No, please don't go through the. red
No,
light. It won't
I-
turn. But there's a lot of work still to do out there. It just
Fair enough.
looks like it's really close to being done.
Since we're on the subject of streets, I decided to ask a quick side question. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I just, is it kind of a good news thing for the city if the state takes over the Parkway,
Yes.
Broadway?
It
Yeah.
is a huge unfunded liability for the city,
Okay,
huge.
okay, good to know.
Where is the city's leverage in terms of the neighborhood collector streets and traffic calming device capabilities?
You have a public works director who would argue strenuously against them
Okay,
because they break fire trucks and they cost people
Like
lives.
big speed bumps and stuff,
Yeah.
that's what you're referring to?
well, there are different features you can use
Speed
to calm
tables, speed
traffic.
bumps, narrow lanes, all of that are nightmares for public safety.
Cause I'm getting tired of, when I yell loud, I am a foghorn. And the foghorn has been being unleashed on speeding drivers down the street, along with my neighbors. I'm getting them to join.
I would encourage you to reach out to the police department, let them know where it is, and they can do some added enforcement in that area. And that is by far the most effective way to control speeding.
Okay,
Just ask them to go.
But
sit
I had
near
a
the
speed bump
schools.
break a fire truck in half.
Oh,
gotcha.
That's $1 million vehicle. The grand jury in a former city where I used to work, where they went and put traffic calming throughout the entire city and speed bumps everywhere, has actually nailed the city for doing that because they didn't follow the rules of doing it. So it's all shit.
So not good for plows and street sweepers.
Well, trading one set of problems for the other. I agree.
We are going to put some rumble strips in and test those to see what the plows do with them. I am willing to put in some rumble strips, and what rumble strips are is if you're going to Fall City and as you approach the tubing place and your car goes, that's a rumble strip.
Okay,
where are those going to go?
It's in between.
There's a golf course, golf cart crossing near the lake that the police want done, and I want them by Carmichael Park. On
Yeah,
that curve.
but by the golf course,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, right near where the club is, right?
Correct.
Oh, good. You're putting rumble strips in there?
That site and also by Carmichael Park.
Fantastic.
Horizontal or like on the, like
Where?
Fall City, like put the median between the lanes or? this
No,
way?
they're in the lane and they go across the lane, so you can't miss them.
This almost sounds like a discussion for another time. I know we're digressing a bit from the agenda, but
Can I just ask where near Carmichael Park?
Up for the curve. Cause you got people speeding around that curve coming up on the school bus stop.
right.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Crosswalk it up.
Anything else as far, roads are important, but it was,
Discuss
we're discussing projects, yep. Anything else as far as project updates?
Did you ever put pickleball courts in on the basketball court at Carmichael?
I believe that happened.
I haven't been there.
I will double check.
All right, so moving on to community liaison updates.
That would be me. As I said, really successful block party. Really great event. Working on Halloween events with the Ridge Merchants Group, which I'm working to help get that formed. We've got an active group of merchants. We've met 3 times already. We've got some good bones to that. So we'll start trick or treating on the Ridge on Saturday, the 28th from 1 to 3. And then downtown will be from 2 to 4. I guess North Bend is doing something later, like 4 to 6. I've been encouraged to be neighborly and keep our times so that people, if they want to do it progressively, they can. So doing that. And then holiday lighting. It's gonna be here before we know it. We'll be starting the lighting on Center the middle of October. And the Center Boulevard trees will be lit up November 1st through the middle of February. And that's a contractor doing that and some other things. And then park staff would do to fill in the gaps. We have a pretty lean parks department right now. So I'm trying to be mindful of the things that they have going on. But I keep adding, I've added a few things to their list, so I'll be letting them, yeah. I'm trying to be responsive, just especially the business merchants in the community, different things that we need. So that's kind of my focus right now is looking ahead to next year, but Halloween and the holidays.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for her on any of these events? Thank you very much.
Sound great?
Sounds good. Sounds like fun. All right, for future discussion, obviously, we'll be coming back to our presentation in front of the council in October. Does anyone else have any items or thoughts for future discussion?
It's really late. I started work this morning at 5:30 in the morning, so I'm not remembering exactly, but if
Okay,
we have the parks plan stuff, I'm gonna put it on there.
gotcha. I was gonna ask about that. Parks
I just
plan.
can't answer that one off the cuff right now.
Will we have any well, I guess community center is practically a monthly thing, or if it makes sense for next month,
Yeah, it is,
if it makes sense.
at least for the next 3 months. It is.
Okay. Community center. It seems like with the parks plan, community center and the report to the council, that sort of sounds like a full agenda. So maybe something else will bubble to the surface in the meantime. Anyone else with any final thoughts? Future items? We could just sit here and, just let time go on and not adjourn the meeting if you want. All right, moving on to adjournment. Does anyone want to move to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion. From Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Wow. All right, we have a second from Heather. Those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Aye, we heard you, Ryan. Thank you. So that passes 5-0. We don't have to roll out our sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Good night, Ryan.